Ouch. Jonathan, I think I just got hurt. That was the truth that hit me, because today we're not just talking about truths. By the way, that's who you hear snickering. That's Jonathan Hinman over here, and he's in a silly mood. And the truths that we're talking about today are not just any truths, but
No.
But judging by the title you've already clicked on, you already know we're talking about painful truths. And God, life, I feel like it's full of all kinds of truths, and I feel like truths that are painful to think about or to acknowledge are quite in abundance. I almost more than 50%, with some people might argue.
Yeah, good truths.
What's a painful? I'm going to tell you a painful truth about myself.
Can't wait.
I have a gap in my teeth. And that is the truth. Now, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it looks cute." That okay, I get it. Like the same people say the same thing to fat people and midgets, and oh, you're just you. That's how you are, and that's just you do you. Well, I know what you're saying, and I know what. God damn it! Don't make me try to feel good. I know what I look like, and the reason why I haven't gotten dental orthodontic correction is because people were when I people first started hearing about me on Vine or seeing the character, they didn't think I was the same person playing the try me bitch and the fuck off Janet, all those. No one thought that I was the same person playing those. And then when you see the teeth, then you're like, oh, okay, he is the same. And so it's sort of like my trademark. It's the one consistent thing through all my characters are my. And
it's a choice. All your characters have a gap.
They all do. You're right. I just also feel like it just kind of keeps it looking like me. It's my smile that all the characters have, because it's that, and I just like that. But I hate having it. I really do just keep it. Like if I wasn't doing the YouTube, if I was still at the fucking law firm, you bet your ass I'd be all Invisaligned up my asshole right now. Like I would be correct. Jonathan,
my asshole would have Invisalign.
My asshole would have Invisalign, for Christ's sake. But I keep that. I like all my characters to have a crooked hole, so I mean, the audience don't see it, but when I'm pixeling it out, it's nice to look at. Jonathan, enough about me. What's a painful truth that you have to live with?
Well, on a similar level, yes. My left eye is a little droopy, and I'm very self-conscious about it. I've been self-conscious about it for a long, long time. But
droopy, like it's.
I mean, look at
lower?
it.
I can't see. It looks. They look even. They look. Oh, now he's. Oh, he's doing this.
So I'm moving my jaw back and forth, and it's kind of going up and down, and that's when you notice that actually it hangs just a little bit lower than my right eye because of some facial trauma that I incurred while being born.
Oh my God!
I came out face up and smashed the side of my face, and it like fused together a little bit of jaw muscle and eye muscle. And,
oh my God! I've never heard of that happening to anyone before.
Me neither.
That is So it just So you coming out on your back, essentially, right? So you're you and your mom are facing upward.
Correct.
And which is lucky, because I was the other way around. At least the first thing you didn't have to stare at was an asshole that was coincidentally pooping. It was the first thing I had to look at. But so you're coming out on your back, and facial trauma. Now, what did you say? It contacted your face?
Yeah. Just like I had a big bruise on on the left side of my face.
By coming out in that position?
Yeah. You're supposed to come out face down, and
what hit you on the way out?
Vagina.
You just that part of the upward side of the vagina.
The top.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to protect your baby's faces, because apparently those lips are a little tougher. Jesus, I've never heard of that.
It was a weird thing, but it's I guess it was. It's such a silly truth. It's like, really, that's it. Like everything's fine, but still, I fixated on that, imperfection in myself for such a long time, and was very ashamed of it for no fucking reason. In all honesty, I totally understand. There's little things about my teeth. Obviously, I understand what that's. It's weird how it's like that's a painful truth. Like that's not a deep truth, but that actually really hurt. That took me a long time to get over. How stupid is that? And yet still so like that pain is real.
Oh, I know.
It's so weird.
Seriously, it's like, but in all fairness, I honestly, like, I've seen your idea, and I always thought you were like, I always thought that was a gesture, like you're like, like you're kind of winking or something.
Yeah. I try to cover it well.
I've seriously never ever thought like, oh, there's something. And I've edited you before. I've edited footage of you, and I've never.
So this just points to how ridiculous the pain is.
It's no, seriously, and yeah, no.
In this case,
but I agree though. Like I still get really insecure when I look at stuff. Like I have a scar on my eyebrow, on I think it's my right one, and my dog bit me in the face. And if you ever see a photograph of me from the right angle, you'll notice there's a patch of my right eyebrow that doesn't grow hair. And that was because I just don't like the insymmetry. How do you say that?
Asymmetry.
Asymmetry.
Yeah.
Asymmetry.
Yeah.
Well, whatever kind of symmetry it is, it's not mine, and I am very self-conscious about it. But even aside from physical deformities that we have, I think that painful truths, they might not necessarily be something that we, carry on us physically, but something that maybe have happened in our past. I feel like I don't know. There are things in my life that still, things from my childhood that still like haunt me to this day, and they're truths. And the thing about a truth is that it cannot be, you cannot be altered. It can't, it has happened. It's something we have to live with.
There's a phrase.
Yes. Well, what is
a fact is something that you. That like cannot be.
Yes, a fact is something that cannot be persuaded. Because it has occurred. That is, there's no arguing a fact, and these aren't necessarily.
It's logical. It's logic,
right? It's its own logic, and a truth is more sort of conceived off of the perception of the one involved,
right.
Or a truth
involves
might be different.
A perspective,
right? Your truth of something might be different than my truth of something. It's not a fact. It's our more or less interpretation or perception of it. And so, my brother and I, for instance, we really haven't talked a lot in our adult life. And just recently we talked for a very long time, for many hours. And we were talking about our childhood, and it's funny how we share a lot of the same truths, but a lot of our truths of what happened are just different, or just how an event, the meaning of an event, how it affected us. There's certain events that have happened in my lifetime that I've had a version of in my head for decades. And then I talk to my brother, and I hear the same event, but from a different perspective and a different almost opinion and a different meaning to him. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just as we
it rocks your world,
right? Like for instance, I wish I part of me wishes my parents hadn't divorced when I was at 10 years old. Like that really can fuck a kid up, because it's almost worse than if they happened when they were an infant or an adult. It's like when you're like 10 years old, you really need your parents. Like that's such a prime age to like need mom and dad, or just need some kind of. And I remember just that when the divorce happened, no one paid attention to my brother and I. Like it was all about the parents,
right?
And so my brother and I were just kind of like forgotten, and like they would just send us to therapy so we can talk about our problems to the therapist. And so it was
my family, they stayed together, and they should have gotten divorced 20 years ago.
Oh God.
And I mean, I don't know what's worse, but neither were in harmony with the truth.
Right. And that's just how it, I wish, because to this day, like, here I am, a 30-year-old going to therapy now, and it's like, my therapist is unboxing all these truths from my childhood, like just so many things.
So you're fresh on the painful truths.
Oh my God. And I pay so much to just rip my heart out once a week. It's insane, because I hate going to therapy. I mean, it's good. I suggest everyone go, but it does force you to dig up painful truths about yourself and see like, oh, how did this thing that happened when I was 8 years old, affect me, now. I really
I can't believe how trite I thought so much Freudian psychology was, and I was just like, that's just stereotypical analysis, and then you get older and you're like, oh fuck,
right,
it's spot on.
It's very very applicable, and no, I think I will say this. I had a pretty fortunate childhood. I think I did. I was pretty if I had one regret, like one truth that I wish I could change, it's just how sheltered I was. My parents were pretty sheltered too. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad, and my mom, they were band geeks, and my dad was a total comic sci-fi, you know, like he lived in comic book stores, and he raised me and my brother in comic book stores. My mom, you know, raised us to be hard workers, and, you know, you get a decent, like they weren't, you know, I love my parents to death, and I hope they don't listen to this podcast, but they weren't necessarily the riskiest takers of people. And so you know, they kind of raised me as, you know, I'm sure many of you maybe who are in college know a couple nerds who have had kids, and they kind of I mean, my parents were those people, and they raised me with very,
I was a sheltered kid, and when I got out in the world, I saw people who were just like, oh no, I was like, my life's been on the line many times. Like, I've been in some shit, and I am ready to like live this life. And I'm like, wow, that is impressive. I've
done this, and I've had this, and I've blown this, and and you know, I remember, you know, it's funny is that, like, because I lived in Livermore or just the Bay Area for the most part for up until I was 23 years old, and that's the truth that I have to live with. Like, my life was pretty sheltered up until
that's
that
the most
point.
painful part of you.
Well, it was the fact that, like, when I moved to LA, when I was 23 years old and I moved to LA, I didn't realize how much I was missing out in life, and how much time I had wasted missing out, living, you know, safe in my little town, thinking I thought I was a rebel. I thought I was, because my videos were so inappropriate, and we would trespass to film, and they were, you know, and I used to think, like, yeah, we're living, what a rebellious life, you know, that I'm living, that we're, you know, I'm ditching school and work and really the joke was on me, because I was just missing out on grades and money. And so I just, I hate, like, and then when I moved to LA, I just realized, what the fuck? I say this all the time. My biggest regret in my adult life is not dropping out of college sooner. I mean, for me, I don't recommend that. Only if you're in my exact path, doing exactly what I do for a living, would I recommend dropping out. But if you're trying to be anything else, don't drop out of college. But no, really, it's
crazy how in this day and age too. By the way, it's like just so much more viable.
Oh yeah,
dropping out. It's like, man, the stuff that you need to know is changing so fast. Like, you can't trust an institution to teach it, and also you're going to be totally screwed by college loans.
Right.
Like, you may as well just
do exactly what you want. I will say, I did attend, like, so I dropped out, but then I kept going for another year because the teachers were nice enough to let me take the courses off the books, so I could learn from them. So I only took the courses my last year because I knew I was either gonna run away to Illinois, because my best friend Salim was moving, was going to some Illinois State, whatever school, fucking
Illinois State.
They have some kind of school out there in that state, I think. And so he was going to go there. I was going to move with him and just kind of pursue YouTube out there. So either that, or I don't know what I was going to. I don't know what the plan. I just knew that in a year I wouldn't necessarily be in Livermore. So I took all these classes. I took like speech and debate. I took TV, film. I took all these, like, I took a writing class, just all the classes I wanted to get knowledge from to take with me. So yeah, anyways, to that point, like, don't, I think it's still important. I think college still has a very valuable experiential, there's an experiential value that you can take from college, even if you're doing what I'm doing. You might not think, I don't need school. Like, you'd be surprised what you can learn, you know, taking a class similar to what you're trying to get into. But
it's true.
All that being said, I do wish that, because up until that year, I was taking algebra, I was taking I was taking marine bifuckinology, and like classes I just gave no shits about. One of them was there were just all sorts of electives that I had to take, and I wish I didn't waste so many years and so much of my parents' money, because my parents did front. It was like $400 a semester. It was super cheap, but like that was still $400, and like for classes I hated, and like, you know, after I moved to LA, up till now, I look at those years of my life as just wasted time and money. Like, those particular years of I just wish, like, if I can go back, I would just move to LA so much quicker. I would just hit my career with, you know, running in the right direction at like the age of 21, you know, and just really do it right.
That's interesting. That's and that's the. I mean, I don't think there's anyone for whom that isn't the case. Where it's like, dang, if I knew then what I know now, I would do things differently because you know more. And that's just like that's part of. That's a lesson that you only get when you're a little bit older because you have to experience it, like wisdom and lessons, really. But it also, I think, points to kind of a larger, more universal truth of like, holy shit, like I'm really getting older. Like something that happened that requires perspective on the timeline of my own life. Like we're at a big milestone here.
And I will say I have very conflicted feelings in my life. I think more often than not, I reflect on my life thinking it is full of events and adventures. And it's like I've lived many different little lives throughout my 30 years and I feel good. And then there are other times where I look back and I think like, well, hold on. No, I could have been doing so much more in 2009. I could have been doing so much more. I have very conflicted views on it. It's like glass half full, half empty, kind of going back and forth. But
and you want to like be hard on yourself so that you like change yourself in the future, but you also
here's the thing.
Need to not be mean to yourself.
I have a lot of friends who are older than me, and I have a lot of friends who are younger than me. Very few, Jonathan and Rachel. You might be one of the few people. You might be one of the few people who are about my age. Most of the people I know are generally older or younger, and I know a lot of people who are like 21, 22, and like I'll hang out with these people. And they're like, yeah, last year when I went to Burning Man, that month before, no, that was after I went skydiving. And that was when I was living in Albany and it's like, I hear these kids and I'm like, holy fuck. You know what I was doing when I was your age? Getting fat and jacking off. like, that's what I was doing. Holy fuck. And I do. So like those years, I wish
but that influenced the work.
Right. But I just look at these kids and they're just like, yeah, or fucking like, I don't know. Like I'll meet fans of mine who like are living so much, just monstrously more adventurous lives than I lived when I was their age. And I'm like, Jesus, you are reminders of like when I'm feeling good about my life, I'll meet one of these motherfuckers and I'll be like, son of a bitch, I haven't lived.
Yeah, it makes me so mad when I see someone younger who's like already realized a truth that took me longer to realize. I'm just like, how did you know?
Right.
How did you know? God damn it.
Right. I know. Like I didn't learn that valuable lesson until I was fucking 28. And here are the 13-year-olds like, well, I've learned this.
And like, who told you and why did you listen?
Right. Oh my God. And then you'll always meet that one motherfucker who's like, yes, I got high and laid at 9. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like,
oh my God. He's like, I don't love.
But I will say one of the most painful, I guess a total 180. It was a painful truth at the very beginning, and then just total 180. It almost feels like it's in my advantage. Just being gay, that was something that I had to really had to like. That was a truth I had to swallow, for lack of a better term, for so many years, and it sucked. If any of you know of Livermore. Or at least if you knew of Livermore, nowadays it's a pretty liberal town. Like I feel like it's okay to be gay in Livermore now.
It's a different time.
It's a different time. When I was a kid, it was not okay to be gay in Livermore. It wasn't. Like it was not okay. And I remember
same. Like I don't even know where it was okay in America to be gay.
And it was just Livermore was, at least when I was a kid, it was a town that always prided itself on just sort of its rambunctious, rodeoistic, sort of a wild, drinking town. And that's sort of it's just
stereotypical masculinity.
Yeah, and there's no room to be gay there. And if only they knew that practically is all that being gay is about is rambunctious alcoholism with cowboys and lassos and probably, I don't know. Ours is probably a little bit more colorful, but really a rodeo is pretty damn gay. If only they knew that the similarities were all there, they'd all get along. But
homosexuality was inspired by rodeos.
Yes. Fun fact. Yes, it actually started in Livermore. No, but I don't know. It's just that was really hard. And then
that's an interesting one because it like that doesn't have to be painful. That shouldn't be painful.
No.
And it totally was.
Right. And so many years of my life again feel wasted on that shame. Like just the lengths that I went to prove to the world that I wasn't gay. And it's like all that wasted time and effort. I could have been doing something like I don't know, literally anything else. And I don't know. And then I moved to Los Angeles. And like I said, my life did a total 180, total new perspective on everything. And I just sort of, it's like a fish getting out of the tank and seeing the tank for what it is, and I kind of looked back at Livermore and I was like, wow, like I based so much of who I am to make this town happy. And in the end, it made no difference to any of them. In the end, if anyone from back home were to praise me on anything, it was how unique I was in high school, not how well I fit in. So I'm like, why did I spend so much time swimming upstream?
Oh, damn. And,
and then I moved to LA and I had lunch with this YouTuber. Like the first week I moved here, there's this YouTuber, her name's Glozell, and she took me out to lunch and she was like, oh my God. She was the nicest person because she I remember her telling me, you were going to go places. And she goes, I can see that. And she goes, you're already gay. And I remember thinking, what does that mean? Like I looked at her because I didn't know what that meant. And she was like, this is Hollywood, baby. Like being gay is like a currency out here. She's like, you already have a leg up on the industry. And I thought she was joking. And then I really started to see just the industry from a different perspective, a different truth. It meant something different to me, and I'm now living in it, and I'm starting to see like all the big roles or all of the quirky, like a lot of people who are getting their own shows are gay, or just I don't know. It's something that isn't shamed here in Hollywood, and that was weird to see for me. Like that was weird to see billboards that were LGBT whatever, and with the RQ, and like it was weird to, and so
Hollywood's when I was a kid, my parents would usually say like that's Hollywood shoving their leftist agenda down your throat, etc. Right. But the truth is that like that's where you actually can't express some of those taboos, like things. It was not okay to be gay, but 20 years ago there's a show, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and it's like, shoving it down our throat. But it's like, no, finally, you just see some gay people on a show, like Jesus.
Yeah, no, seriously, and I guess that's sort of how like a painful truth can be, how a truth in general can be altered by perception.
Yeah.
It's like my it was a painful truth that I was gay, but then when after moving here, I no longer saw it as a painful truth. It was just like it was more of a a fun fact.
Right. That's amazing. This what was once so painful just became like totally painless and accepted.
And in the last 6 years, and that's how long I've been living in LA, is about 6.5 years. And in that time, you're starting to see a lot of shows that depict lesbians or gays in like a really cool kind of they're not just the gimmicky next door neighbor that we had to throw in to rep a queer person. Right. Like it's there's actually good film and television around characters who happen to be gay now. So it's no longer, I don't think, as stigmatized as it was when I was a kid, and the truth was much more painful for me.
That's interesting. I, especially hearing you say that, I'm kind of reminded that like all the best truths are painful. Like all the most important truths.
Certainly the juiciest ones.
The juiciest ones. I mean, the ones that will affect you a lot. Like, and in many ways, like some sort of painful process is necessary to really have that sink in. I'm not saying that like pain is good, like, but it's just an observation that like, damn, some of the most important things that I've ever realized didn't come about very easily.
Right.
That was a hard thing to realize, or a hard thing to learn, to understand, to live by, etc. But that's just how it is.
I think, the mental and the muscle needs to tear for it to, get beefed up. You know what I mean? Like it's and I agree. Like I think it's sort of in line with the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Sort of philosophy.
No pain, no gain. Builds character. It's all that shit is true.
It is true. It is true. I think when I think of like the greatest thing life ever gave me, it happened because I kind of blindly moved to LA, unsure of if I'll even be able to pay rent. My first first month. I had no, like $400 in my pocket. Like that was a
gotta take risks. You gotta challenge yourself.
And even besides it being a risk, it was a shitty time. That was a shitty time. I was having to live in a roach infested studio apartment with someone that I didn't care to live with. And I was working a really shitty job that I had to get up at 6 a.m. and then I got home at 7 at night. More of my day was spent just either commuting or at work and that was it's like but that was the greatest, like from that came the nectar of the greatest fruit life has ever given me. And that was just, like I said, a profound sense of or a new sense of freedom, I suppose. And just in hindsight and looking in perspective of where I came from and just how small my town was versus there's this other bigger Los Angeles place. And yes, my life is shitty now, but
even with like that timeline imposed on you, you're creating and you're challenging yourself and you're making the work. And that's
right. And it was
hard.
It was a very, very, like I said, it was like, it felt like I was treading water. And I think that any moment in your life where you're suddenly tossed into the deep end and you're having to tread water, those more often than not have the opportunity to be some of the greatest times in your life. When just, because what's great.
I mean, that's even like what drama is. Like it's always, that's what character is your action in overcoming an obstacle and overcoming a challenge. And so it's, I don't know why I'm thinking of Apollo 13 because it's an amazing fucking movie, but it's like, wow, that was a terrible time. It was also these people's finest hour. Right. That's just how that is.
That's true. Huh? I didn't think about
it. It's like Britain's finest hour is, the depths of World War II, but the point is that it's just like, it's not that World War II is good or something, but just like, that's what defines you. That's,
the hardships and getting through them. So it's like, oh God, I know because I know people who haven't faced shit their whole life, and those people are not the funnest people to be around, or certainly not the most interesting.
Right. That catches up with you.
Yeah.
You're a less interesting, 50-year-old for sure.
Right. But I don't know. I also, I'll tell you what.
But you can still be a good person. You got to challenge yourself.
Everyone, no matter what you've experienced, has the potential to be a very good person or a very bad person.
Yeah.
But I remember when I worked at the hotel, I was around a lot of very rough, experienced, 50-something-year-olds at the front desk staff. And a lot of these people were working this as a second job to pay for it. And I don't remember meeting more interesting people in that age bracket ever in my life. Like these, and I probably sound super, super elitist talking about this. I don't mean to sound elitist talking about this, but people who have gone, what I'm saying is people who have gone through more shit, usually are more fascinating or more colorful in conversation than not. Because just about every person I've dated has had very wealthy parents. And whenever I meet these just powdered, cushioned motherfuckers, they are the most uninteresting, unrelatable people. And so I kind of pride myself on how, bumpy life can get, it's, and even in these recent years, I feel my life is most fortunate than it ever has, more fortunate than it ever has been. But even in these last few years, I've hit bumps and I've hit like really, really like just rough times or just emotionally, like just sad, moments. And it's like, it's nice to still feel those and to still know that life has a way of influencing you, even as, especially as an artist, that you're still not insulated from, the very big pivotal, muscle tearing moments, right?
Yeah. And in fact, you should be proud of those, that there's no reason to be ashamed of your hardship and difficulties. In fact, like you're gonna grow from that. Right.
And I genuinely, and I honestly, I forget who said this, and I'm paraphrasing horribly, but I think the greatest, is it the happiness isn't defined by eradicating your problems, but learning to live with them. And I think that's so true. It sucks, especially in this day where you look at Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is, on social media, everyone looks like they're living such a nice life. And it sucks because I will be like, if I'm having a shitty day, I will be up at like 2 a.m. and I'll just be scrolling and just seeing the peak of everyone, just the tip of all the icebergs, just everyone's perfect life. And it's easy to forget that this is all, just you're looking at one snapshot
that's
of that person's
BS. That's another thing. That's a projection of a projection of a projection.
Right, and so it's just so easy to feel like everyone else, just you're the only one who's going through shit. But no, I feel like everyone, and that's something I keep trying to remind myself. Even now at 30, when I go out to bars or parties, I like have to remind myself, people here are likely more insecure than you are.
Right.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
I think
everyone's everyone's got a whole other thing going on inside their head. Don't feel alone.
Yeah. Right.
Even though you are.
Yeah. But no, I think it's important to
well, what's your I'm trying to phrase it the way that you just did, but basically, what's a painful truth that you've had to live with? I want the most painful thing, the realization that's caused you the most pain.
The realization
and maybe problem that you're living with, rather than
There's here's a really, and this is a weird one, and this is like, I actually haven't even told my therapist this, and this is a very, very raw thing. I haven't really told anyone
Brandon,
this.
You got to listen to this.
I have and I may want this edited out. I don't know, because I don't know if I can funnel my words that sound. So it's like a sexual anxiety that I have. Not really sexual anxiety. It's an anxiety that has to do with stuff that is sexual, but it has nothing to do with my sexuality. It's that on every Friday and Saturday night, I can't help but think that every person I've dated and every person I will date, likely the odds are it's Friday night, they're probably getting laid tonight. And this is as I'm saying this out loud, it sounds retarded, but this is something that has plagued me, and I didn't realize it until, my ex really liked to go out. He lived by society's clock. He was a 9-to-5er. He would go out Friday, Saturday night, get drunk, and then Friday. He lived a very, very standard kind of weekly routine. And so I knew, after we broke up, I knew Friday and Saturday night he was probably out trying to get laid, and I would just lay in bed thinking, is it going in him right now? Is it entering his body right now? Is he coming right now? And I would get anxiety about it. And I'd be like, fuck, every other ex of mine probably is getting fucked right now. And every person I will fall in love with is probably getting fucked hard right now by a better dick. And these are the things that I think about when it's like, Friday, Saturday night, this person's probably, or maybe they're going dead. Maybe they're blowing and sometimes that's worse because they put their face on it. And so it's like,
damn.
So this is a painful truth.
Fuck yeah.
And they are. I'm trying to legitimize this because I understand that a lot of people probably don't relate to this, because if I had to hear myself say this 5 years ago, I wouldn't relate to what I'm saying. It wasn't until I dated this, and I was heartbroken when we broke up. I was devastated when we broke up. So all I could think about was just the rebounding, just and that just spread, over the years that has spread to me thinking all right, Friday night's coming up. Is my future
Let's run
husband,
through the film reel of everyone getting fucked.
Right. My future husband is probably up in some high-rise apartment doing some nice-ass cocaine that some rich daddy just gave him.
And he's going to lose a lot in the stock market and then meet me.
Right. He's going to get fucked really good tonight, and then he's going to crash all his stocks and then meet me. And I'm going to be the gutter bitch that fucks him sadly. No, no, it's a painful, and now I've probably planted this in many of my viewers' minds, and now they're going to think, But
that's just something you have to get over. Like that's true.
What days are these podcasts released?
Sunday.
Okay, you guys, you got 5 days to get this out of your head or let it sink in. But when Friday night comes, you're gonna be thinking, "Oh fuck," they're gonna fuck. But it's
and that's like a first love related painful truth, because it's hard to be in love your first time and think like, is this the last one? You know. But it's on par with that. But it's
you know, that breakup really taught me that gay relationships and straight relationships aren't really that different, because every movie I saw after that breakup, because he was the first person I ever like fell in love with, and he was like when you, because I've broken up before, and it's always been so easy for me to break up. You know, I just dust off my hands and walk away, and I don't even rebound. I'm just like, nah, I'm done. But he was the first one, like where I loved, and so losing him, I was like, it was a truth I had to live with. It was like something I just had to like accept. He was gone, and then and then I saw like pictures of him and like guys I didn't know, I never knew when we were, or guys that I was suspicious of, you know, him and whoever on a hike, you know, on Instagram, and I'm like, fuck. And now my mind is starting, I have a very imaginative mind, so I'm starting to paint and illustrate these. What happened after the hike? Where did they go? They weren't staying near Livermore. Like they probably stayed at a cabin somewhere. Oh God! And so where was I going with this? It
was more visualization of.
I don't know where I was going with this, but the fact of the matter is, like that was the first time that's what I was going to say. That was the first time I ever fell in love, and so that was the first time that losing someone really was hard to swallow. And you know, like I said, every movie after that painted a breakup, there were elements that I couldn't relate to. That's why I was saying this, because people probably can't relate to my weird sex thing that I talked about a little bit ago.
No.
And I'm just saying, if you can't relate to that, then you probably haven't, like, I don't know, like, or maybe you have lost someone you loved. And I
think that's a common one. Everyone is, you know, been in love. Maybe we're just. I mean, no matter what, you can have a crush on someone and then be like, "Oh my God, they're kissing someone else." You know,
right.
It can happen.
That sucks. You know, my heart even gets broken.
But that's life. That's you know, you got to get
over
it.
That's the shittiest part of life. And the other thing is that I want to outlive all my exes. I don't ever want to be in the grave while they're fucking someone while I'm dead. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to outlive them all. I want to be like, okay, I can die happy knowing that when I'm dead, none of these bastards getting fucked. That's a sick thing. I wish I hadn't said that.
If you die young, I'm going to make sure someone fucks on your grave.
No! I need fucking an electric fence around my...
No one fuck above me.
I want to be in a mausoleum with spikes that you don't want to sit on.
It will be dildo shaped, but you still don't want to sit on it.
Right, but they shock every 5 to 18 minutes, and you'll never know when it's coming. No, anyways, I think the moral of the story is, like I said, this is a truth, you know, that I have to accept and live with. And it's nothing I try to think the best thoughts all the time. I try and stay as positive as I can in every situation that is presented to me. But there are a lot of things in life that you just simply cannot alter. And with those things, the things that cannot be eradicated, you have to find, you know, a detour to get around them that works for you, to where you don't even notice the object you're trying to avoid. And I think that's, and you know, that's easier said than done. I wish we could say how, but look at me. I'm still fucked in the head. I'm still trying to figure out how to live with these problems.
Keep at it,
right? Every day, one step at a time. Yeah, whatever works for you, just keep at it. Seriously. You guys, thank you. Jonathan, this has been more, I hope my therapist isn't listening to this, because I'm going to say, this is better than the sessions I pay so much for. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, Jonathan, thank you. I'm glad we were able to have this therapeutic sort of ventilation session.
Yeah. It feels good to finally get it off.
Oh, yes, it does feel good to get off. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Brandon Rogers, and this is the Deep Balls podcast. And keep your balls deep and keep those truths feeling good.